Guys, how's it going? So we're going to be talking about something today that, honestly, the more Ian and I talk about it, the more confused I feel. There's no end to the amount of confusion I feel about this. It's just going down and getting more confused and more confused. So if you wanted to rock up and you're like, I'm feeling confused about this situation, Ian and Scott are going to solve it for me. Hey, stop right there. We are not. We just might murky the waters even more because it's actually like a complex situation. But what I will say is there's a lot of people that have been talking about this situation over the last 2 or 3 weeks who have had a strong opinion on it and didn't sound very confused about it. So maybe we're just showing the other side of it. You know,
interesting. Wow.
Yeah, like maybe that's another way of sort of like putting it. Obviously, I'm talking about the situation that happened with Giacomo Turra, the guitar player, Instagram guitar player. Let me give you the full sort of like 30 to 60 second pitch on
Let's
what
have
happened,
a recap, dude. Let's have a recap.
A recap, and I also will say right off the bat that this video actually isn't just about him. I think there's been enough content made about Giacomo. And what we want to do is explore some of the other aspects of this and downstream effects of what come from other creators doing this. Because everybody's kind of like pointing at him.
And what is this? What's this that you're referring to?
Okay, so it's complex. Let me give you the 30 to 60 second download, and then we're going to talk about the 3 specific threads that come out of this. So, a few weeks ago, actually, let me just say it again. There is a guitar player, an Italian guitar player called Giacomo Turra, who his main platform is Instagram. I think he's followed by about 700,000 or 800,000 700,000 or 800,000 followers over there on Instagram, maybe a few 100,000 here on YouTube, although he has deleted his channel here on YouTube recently off the back of these shenanigans that went on. Now, so what you would say about Giacomo, just as a sort of like looking at that from a 10,000 foot view, is he's like one of the top social media, Instagram-esque guitar players in the world, right?
Right.
Go. There's in the top 10 probably, maybe even in the top 5, maybe even in the top 3 of people that have, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, people.
Well, sort of like you mean like a meteoric rise in popularity on a short form
off the
platform?
back of social media, yeah. Off the back of social media, yeah. So I'm sure that Steve Vai might have like many more followers than that. But Steve Vai's been at this for decades, and also
Giacomo's like mid-20s, right?
He's like, I think like mid to late 20s, and he's social media centric. He was born out of that medium. I think that's what I'm getting at. So that's who Giacomo was, whatever. And Danny Sapko, shout out to Danny, local Yorkshire lad.
Yes.
Danny Sapko did an expose video. I don't know what they're actually called, these videos, but like, I don't know, old schoolers like myself would call it an expose video.
Yeah.
And the expose video basically showed that Giacomo Turra was doing 3 kind of things. And I talked about these 3 threads. And there's 3 threads. The first one is that he was transcribing people's lines, other guitar players' lines, other people's improvisations, other people's solos. He was transcribing them, and then he was using them in his videos as if he had created them, and not correctly crediting the individuals who had originally played them, right? And in most cases, the people that originally created those improvisations and solos were a lot lesser known. In fact, in all cases, because Giacomo is so well known, right?
That's right.
But a lot less known. Like they might have like 1,000 or 2,000 followers. Okay, maybe less, right? But like a lot less. It's worth saying that if you are a guitar player who has, put his, or her, like at shed hours in, maybe you've been, shedding for a decade or more, right? And you've been sweating, and you see somebody who's actually taken your improvised solo or your solo and they're using it in their video, and you've got like your 1,000 followers and they've got their 700,000, 800,000 followers, and they're playing your ideas. Just think about how that makes you feel, right? Especially when, it's okay because you're credited properly, right? And you're going to get loads of traffic towards your Instagram channel or where it is, it's okay. Well, no, it's not okay because there was no credit given, or the credit was buried and not correctly given, right?
Yeah, or the credit was put in afterwards. I think he went back in and dropped in credits after
the
there's
fact
tons
and
of
stuff like
my
that.
god, there's all screenshots of him begging people not to release this information. I mean, so he was knowingly doing this, stealing these arrangements, solos, note for note, regurgitating them as his own. And then further, the nastiness goes further because then he was monetizing these tabs and this stuff on his website as his own thing.
As his own thing. Okay, so there's actually 4 threads then, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's the taking, transcribing other people's stuff and taking it as your own, not crediting correctly. There's that part of it. There's the then actually transcribing, like putting written materials out and selling them on your website as your own material.
Yes.
Bad. Now, just to take a pause. Again, this video just isn't about... The reason why we're going through this is to be contextual because some of you might not have heard about all of these goings on. I'm not going through this to say, bad Giacomo, bad Giacomo. And let's make another video about Giacomo where we sort of like everybody sort of like publicly crucifies him. I think there's enough videos doing that, but I think it's important that everybody has the context, and then we'll get into all of the confusion, our confusion over how to feel about some of the other things. Okay, again, so the first 2 threads are taking people's lines, musical ideas, solos, improvisations, and taking them as your own, not crediting correctly. Number 2 is selling them on your website as your own. Okay, so let's just say that those first 2 threads, bad, no dispute. Everybody understands it's shouldn't do that. Bad Giacomo.
Okay. Yes.
Got a stick. Bad Giacomo.
Right.
Okay. The next ones are I think are more interesting. Mm-hmm. And I think they're more interesting because more people are doing it. Just to sort of like, I'm just going to put my bench out, right?
Yeah.
They're more interesting because more people are doing it.
Yeah.
The first 2 points, I think that I would like to hope that that's actually sort of like more of an isolated incident, especially of somebody riding that wave.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sort of universally
crazy.
thought of as not good.
Not good. Yeah, not good. Okay, so number 3, 4, the third and fourth thread. Okay, the third thread is that, and some people knew this, but I don't think it was widely understood, is that Giacomo was miming. So remember that this is sort of like somebody that was, but it was like the new Guitar Hero kind of style, right? There's a lot of people that are sort of like, think about he's in his like mid to late 20s. Right, Giacomo was on if not, maybe he wasn't even on the road to be the next generation Guitar Hero. Maybe he was the next generation Guitar Hero for many people, 800,000 people that were following him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But a lot of people didn't know that he was miming. All of them videos are mimed. Okay, so we're going to be getting into that conversation because...
What does that mean? What does miming mean?
Miming means, great point. So you're not playing it live. So you're pressing play on... You press record on the camera. You press play on a device that you can hear, and then you mime along. You pretend to play along. Okay? Yeah. So, and miming has been used for... Adam Neely did a great video. There are a bunch of great videos that you should check out that have been done on this topic. And lots of different people have so many interesting viewpoints on it. To name a few, Adam Neely did a really fantastic one. It's super interesting. Rick Beato did one. Yannick and Chelsea did one, all with different opinions. So go watch them all. It's great. And they all had really great opinions. Some of my opinions are definitely not as formulated as theirs, because I'm like more confused about certain things. Again, the first two things, the taking people's lines and selling them on your website, bad. Okay. But the next two, there's definitely there's more gray areas, because miming, for instance, has been done for decades.
Right.
Right? So people have been doing that now. And let's just go over these next two threads, and then we're going to revert back to talking about miming and stuff like that. But just to put it out there, miming has been done for decades and decades in lots of different ways. Adam Neely again pointed out that in his, but all that to say that a lot of people didn't know that was what was going on with Giacomo. They actually thought he was playing that stuff, and he wasn't playing that stuff. It was mimed. Side note and this is what's killing me and confusing me a lot, like even more about this, is and I did know that Giacomo was miming, because, and we talked about this yesterday, Ian, I think it's because I'm a guitar player and I know what the guitar sound, I know what a guitar does when I play it. And I watched him and I was like, oh, it's miming, right?
Right.
But since all of these shenanigans have been outed, now when I go on it, we were texting each other last night, many times last night, just sending each other clips of people miming on Instagram. Just
you think this is mimed too?
Another one. It's actually happening
and the
way more
crazy
than
thing for me, I'll put my hand up and say, like, I wasn't sure. I'm never going to be the guy that's going to go, hey, to try to call somebody out on like miming, because I'm not exactly sure, and I actually don't pay that close of attention. So I've seen Giacomo videos come up
until now.
Well, right. But yeah, like I would always sort of give these folks like benefit of the doubt. You know why? Because I'm focused on my shit. Like I'm busy. You're busy. Like I wasn't like going through the internet with this rage of like, oh, let's out the people. So I kind of was like, oh, wow. But yeah, now that it's on my radar, I'm checking stuff out and I'm like, whoa.
Well, that's what's happening to me now. Yeah, I'm like seeing all of these videos and I'm like, oh shit.
I know.
That's mimed.
Let's come back to this, but what's your fourth thing?
Let's come back to it, because I don't know how I feel about it, because I think it's very platform centric. Like for me, just to say it kind of feels okay in certain situations and not in others. And I don't know where the line is.
Let's drill into that. But I want to know, like, what's the fourth thing? But let's come back.
The fourth thing, which is the salt in the wound. I've never had salt in a wound, but I've heard that it's gnarly. But in terms of Giacomo, is if points 1, 2, 3 weren't bad enough, right? It was the point number 4 is that he wasn't only miming it, he was recording everything slowed down, because he technically can't play the line. He can't play the lines. Those lines he was miming to, okay, he's not a good enough player to play them. So what he was doing specifically to get into the technical, the technicalities of this, is he would put on a click, he's going to play the solo.
He's going to do Donna Lee, nice and slow, take some breaks.
Yeah, instead of, he's going to play it nice and slow. Then he's going to edit the living death out of it. So everything is quantized to the max. Then he's going to speed it up, and then he's going to mime along with it.
And learn how to make it look as if...
Yeah, damn, he was good at making it look like it as well. It must have taken a lot of effort. He should have just, focused.
Well, so the fourth thing is heavy editing. Heavy editing due to the lack of skill,
heavy
You
editing
can't
due to
play
like
it.
yes, exactly that.
Yes.
Rick Beato did the biggest mic drop the other day when he talked
Yeah.
about it. And for context, the way I see this is that like Rick Beato has the biggest music platform in the world. It's like a talk show for the best players that ever did it. He's had the greats on, Sting, you know, all of them. Brad Meldau. I don't know why Brad Meldau came to mind. Andy Summers, like Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd, like all of the greats.
Yeah, of course.
Are on his
Yes.
show. So he gets these incredible players on, right? And in his video, go watch it if you haven't seen it, he gets Giacomo on to do, because why? Because to my earlier point, Giacomo is
This phenom, supposedly this phenom player, right?
He's the guitar hero of the moment, right? He's the next generation guitar hero. He sits down with Rick to do the interview, and Rick's looking across. I'm sure that Rick was sat there looking across like he does. Beautiful grey hair, by the way. Looking across. Truly. God damn.
Yes, I know.
I love that hair. He's looking over. I love you, Rick. He's looking over at Giacomo and then realizes as he's sitting there interviewing him that Giacomo can't play.
Right.
That he hasn't. That he's realizes there in the moment.
Yeah, and we don't know.
Wild,
We haven't
right?
seen that video. It'd be amazing to see that video, but it may be like Rick asked him to do something.
Dude, can you
right?
imagine
And-
what that would have been like back in the day? Imagine if it was like Rick sat there with Steve Vai.
Yeah.
And he's like sat there and like and then in the moment realizes he's like,
this dude is
shit,
just a faker.
this is fake. This is
Yeah.
all that must have been wild.
I mean, so I was actually like on a walk with my wife, and I was talking to her about this today, and she was like, "What? That's so much work."
Yeah.
She's like, "Why would somebody go through that amount of work?" And I said, "Well, big numbers on social media,
Yeah. Yeah.
money, free gear, artist endorsements, right? That you are incentivized to grow a platform, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when I first discovered this, I watched the Danny Sapko video, I was like, man, it has never occurred to me to like record something perfectly in slowing it down and editing and getting it all right, and then learn how to make it look as if, to me, that just seems like such an insane process. But I mean, I've worked on my bass.
Hey,
right?
dude,
So-
man, but it looks like it works out because you'll get 800,000 followers.
yeah, right, I know, right.
And there's the problem. There's the problem right there. Like nothing good downstream. I said this yesterday. Nothing good downstream comes from this. Like, look at what happened. Somebody just became the new guitar hero, and they couldn't freaking play what they were, what people thought they were playing. That is outrageous. And the downstream effects of that are other people will do that as well. Or there is a danger of it. There's a danger.
Let's hang out in number 4 for a minute with this heavy editing to account for the lack of skill. Because there's this thing that Neely talks about, which I love, called the spectrum of permissibility. And in different genres, there's different categories, or there's different criteria
that was really interesting,
for what's
actually, yeah.
allowed.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And so just to give you an example, hip hop, for instance, you may not use someone else's lyrics. You can't take a verse from Common and recite that or put it on your record unless you're sort of making a commentary about his verse, right? Same thing in stand-up comedy. You can't take somebody else's routine and deliver it, right?
Yeah.
That is a big no. And in jazz, you must.
You can. In fact, if you can't play the other people's tunes, if you can't do the standards, shame on you.
Right. Like you just played Donna Lee.
Yeah.
And that is what you have to do. You have to ingest the vocabulary, the language, the actual lines of these genres and be able to spit them out. But what is breaking jazz law, right? It's What is it? It's writing your solos. It's the inability to improvise. Oh, and then that is where jazz law crushes you, right?
Crushes you.
So if we take this thing for musos, I might call this muso law, right? So like, let's say we're making a record or we're making content. There's a spectrum of permissibility in terms of editing. Is EQ okay? Yes, we've all decided that it is. Is compression okay? Sure. Is some distortion okay? Yes. Well, let's talk about pitch correction for vocals. It starts to get a little murkier, but it's universally accepted. It's almost on every single record.
Unfortunately, it is.
It is. I mean, we've all just sort of swallowed it. What about beat correction? What about beat detective? Like in Pro Tools, making your drums sound perfect. That's sort of accepted. Although it's a little, people still don't quite know what's going on there. But what about quantization and drum machines that are perfectly, so now everything sounds perfect, right? And as we go, it gets a little spicier until we get to
somebody slowing down, playing something at half speed.
Playing something at half speed so that they can execute it, and stopping and doing as much as you need to, adjusting all the velocities, right? And then and then speeding it back up and saying, okay, there, it's been performed. But I would say this, Scott, that even doing that as a production tool, like let's say you're making a record and you're not a good enough keyboard player to play. Yeah, sure, you're going to slow it down and go do 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 dee do 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 do, but you're not trying to fool the world that you're an amazing keyboard player. Maybe the line to cross is like, if you just did that on somebody's record and you're like, I'm not a keyboard player, so I did this, you're admitting you used tools to help you.
Yeah.
But when you put it out as content, you face the world and it's just a video on you demonstrating, playing something, and you're sort of claiming in your content, I'm an expert at this. Is that where it crosses the line?
I'm not sure.
I know.
I'm not sure. Like, and I think that, and to even make it more complicated, I think that line moves for different people.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Like some people.
Absolutely does.
Yeah, some people. I will say that. So I'll give you an example, right? So I am very not pro live music. I'm like, that's what turns me on. When I hear a band playing live, like that sound, that energy, that's what really speaks to me. So I'm sort of like on that spectrum. I don't want the freaking quantized drums. I actually want it to sound raw and like kind of like just nasty and just like in the moment.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Right. Some other individuals might want it like the opposite. They want it's so freaking polished. You can barely even look at it. It's so shiny. You know what I mean? Just like everything, everything. And that for me, just, it kind of turns me off. I don't like that so much, So that line moves, but where the line, in terms of slowing things down, that's where, and maybe that's for some people, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, like sure.
Maybe they think that. I don't think that's okay, but maybe they actually think. Like, I don't know whether it would be really interesting to actually know. Did I'm not going to just make it about Giacomo because other people do it.
Of course.
Did Giacomo think
that was just fine?
It was fine. Yeah. Like, not the stealing bit. We all know that he didn't think that was fine. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But this miming and slowing things down, he actually, and others, might think that that's okay. Let me just put my cart out, right? My stall. I don't think it's okay at all. Again, I think that there's no freaking good downstream sort of like effects from this. I think that we end up with like musical heroes who can't freaking play.
What if you're a music producer though, and you're going to play a beat that's going to be on a record, and you do it and you piece it together. You play the kick first and then you play the snare and you piece it together in a DAW. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's okay?
They're not a drummer. If a drummer was doing that, that would sort of like turn me off. I'd be like, come on, are they going to get on the gig and play? Can they play it?
I will say for me, I don't care unless that person is trying to trick me that they're an expert.
Got it.
Like if somebody said, like, I think if
like,
Giacomo,
like the videos, like just to use that, like him for an example, the videos, like everything looks super effortless. Hey, how you? Sorry.
and just yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
going around to every single instrument in the room, right? Grabbing the bass. The bass, by the way, do you know the bass was all VSTs? So the bass wasn't even actually him playing the bass. It was plugins, and then he mimed it on the bass. Now, here's the thing. I don't actually care about that stuff.
Just let me just interject though, dude. It's not just him.
Oh,
just
I know.
let me say it, because I think that everybody's focused on Giacomo, but it's
right.
Yeah, the stealing thing, but it's not just him.
I know there's tons of, and let's come back to miming. But I will say for me, I'll plant the flag of like, if that stuff is done as a production tool to make an album, and it's not to prop someone up as a musician expert, I'm fine with it. I don't care. It's funny. My wife too was like, well, this guy, like, who cares, like, that he did that? And I'm like, well,
what do you mean, Emily? Everybody cares.
I'm like, musos care. You know who cares? It's people that feel like they've done the work. I've seen the strongest reactions from super musos that feel like they've done the work and they're not rewarded similarly. And I understand that.
Or that somebody has been rewarded. If everybody was sitting in with like 2,000 followers.
Thank you. Yes.
But what they're doing is they're looking at, it's not that they haven't got 800,000 followers.
Yes.
It's that they're looking and they're like, what is going on? I'm like, literally,
you're correct.
I've got like 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades on this instrument. I've like bled through my eyeballs practicing my craft. And this chump is like slowing shit down and then miming. And then he's got 800,000 followers. It's not that it's that. That's the thing. It's not
that really pisses people off.
They're not like, give me 800,000 followers and
yes, you're right.
I'm sure that everybody, and like, listen, I think that so many people deserve more followers than they have got. I think that is just a side. That's a different conversation. But that's why they're pissed.
That's why it just like fires those guys up, right?
And rightly so, I think. And rightly so. I think it's and just so like a few people have said, and people don't care. I think people do care. And the proof in the pudding are these conversations that are happening right now. I think people do care. I think there are certainly a group of people that don't give two craps about it. My mom doesn't care. Emily doesn't care.
She
Lisa
does not care.
Doesn't care.
Yeah.
But they haven't sat
I think, though,
and learned an instrument and put in hours.
For sure. And if pressed, I think my wife, like she just went and saw Hamilton on Broadway.
Yeah.
There is a universal thing of a real talent. Some people that have worked on their craft, like these, actors that are on Broadway or the pit musicians or people that can really do the thing. I think it's universally accepted that that's cool. Yeah. Like people that have worked really hard and that if you are pretending that you've worked really hard, but then, it's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And actually it's discovered that you haven't worked really hard on these skills, but you're good at editing.
Yeah.
But I think the devil in the detail here is that people care when someone is trying to fool you. Right? If Giacomo were a record producer, and he were employing those same techniques to make somebody's pop record, I don't think nearly as many people would be talking about miming and heavy editing production. It's that he showed you on an intimate social media platform, he propped himself up as a musical expert, as a playing expert, right?
Yeah. Yes. That is it. It's the fooling you, isn't it? I'm just gonna lean into something spicy though, right?
Okay.
Just to put it out there, just a bit spicy. A lot of people talk about playback. You know, like live bands now
Tracks.
that are like, yeah, they've got playback on. Some people are miming. That's kind of like a conversation that's out there. A conversation that's like less, at least from my perspective, but equally interesting is that there are some incredible bands that all you guys love. Players, bands that all you guys love.
It's about to get spicy.
Who the music, I'm choosing my words correctly, I'm just maneuvering. The music that they release is just like edited to the absolute gills, just to death.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention names because I'm friends with a lot of them.
Sure.
But edited to death. Like everything is quantized, everything is lined up.
Every note velocity is considered and edited. And
the drums are all triggered and everything. Yeah. And many of you will sit there watching their videos, listening to their albums or whatever, and you'll be like, wow.
Right.
Wow. Listen to the production. Listen to the performance, man. I'm just going to wave a flag. And this is a flag of, it's just a flag of, what am I trying to, what's the word, Ian? If you don't know, you don't know. It's a flag of awareness. Yeah. Here's the flag of awareness, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that is what Giacomo did, because what I think but to our earlier point, I think it's complex. And it was your point, Ian, that when are we cool with it? It's like this, like slides. And it's complex. So it doesn't turn me on when I hear stuff like that. I like it. So
check this out. I know you do. And I do too. But like Davey504 made a video in response to this whole thing, right? And he talked about, so we can bring it back to category 3 for a moment and talk about miming, actually. Yeah. Talk about pretending to play when you've recorded the perfect audio, no matter how you've recorded that perfect audio.
Yeah, well, they're kind of linked though, aren't they? We will do that. Just to sort of like link the two, because you can mime, but the thing that you're miming to can be heavily edited,
right?
To the max.
Of course, yes. You can go in
and yes, and
every
where
single
that line
note
is,
and tweak it.
Where that line is,
here's
not clear.
Here's what Davey claims, and I just think this is so interesting. He talks about miming, and he said in his video, and I'm paraphrasing, and I might get it sort of wrong, but he said what Giacomo did, not cool because he can't actually do it. Okay, he said, for me, it's fine, because he said, I mime my videos because it would take me too long to make them. I have different camera angles around me. So, and I'm not going to do it for each camera angle. I've got to make a video a week. So I do it for expediency. And the reason that's okay is because I can actually do it. I can actually play the lines. And here's the deal, everybody. This whole thing is propped up on if we believe the person or not. And I haven't paid attention to enough Davey504 content to be like scrutinize. I'm not that kind of person. I'm doing my own thing. I want to make my content. I'm doing my stuff. So to like dive in and be like, oh, are they getting more clicks and likes? Because like, I think that's fucking lame, actually. I'm just like, I'm doing my thing. And I feel really, really secure in how I'm doing it. Like, thank God I don't have all those editing skills. I mean, I'm working my ass off to get the right take. It's never even occurred to me to go to the lengths of editing and miming that some of these creators do. But Davey's point, again, is that it's okay because I can do it. And if people believe that, then they're okay with it. Like if we talk about miming, like Scott, when is it cool to mime? When do you think it's fine? But like Adam Neely talks about that amazing Whitney Houston performance of the anthem in the 80s. I didn't actually know that was mimed until I watched Adam's. I mean, maybe I'm just naive. I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, everybody's fine with that. Super Bowl performances, right? There's tons of things where Top of the Pops, Soul Train in many cases in the US, there's a ton of shows that are fully just mimed. Is that cool?
No, dude. It's lame.
Well, wait, is it, I agree with you that it's lame. I know what you mean. It doesn't feel as good as the real thing, but is it unacceptable? That's the word, actually.
I just think it's freaking lame. Listen, I think that there are, and again, this is a line that is not sort of like in cement. It's like a piece of string and people can move it around where they want. And they, you know what I mean? Like for some people, they don't mind. For me, I'm just talking like from my perspective, I can absolutely, of course, understand why certain things on TV is mimed because of because of the production process. They might not have what they need to be able to do it or the budget to be able to do it.
Of course.
All of those things, right? It might need to be absolutely perfect and there is zero wiggle room for any error. All of those things.
Yeah.
But, and again, just this is me. I just think in general, when it doesn't have to be mimed, if you're miming, it's fucking lame. It's lame.
Amazing.
It's lame. You should be proud to be able to play it. And just to, and if anybody, just let me just, because I think that this is important context so you understand where I'm coming from. I used to think it was lame when I was a kid. When I just picked up, maybe even before I'd picked up guitar, there was 2 shows on TV. One was called Top of the Pops, and another one was called TFI Friday. Shout out me in the comments if you remember how awesome TFI Friday was. Chris Evans doing his thing, absolute killer. Oh my God, what an era. Anyway, Top of the Pops, TFI Friday. All of the bands on Top of the Pops it was all mimed. And on TFI Friday, it was all live. And I can remember just watching them as a kid, and I just used to think Top of the Pops is just the lamest thing. I was like,
oh, just like
I used to just sort of like watch it, like people are pretending to play along. Like, what is
so
this?
Weird. Yeah,
so this was no musician bullshit. This wasn't me with my musician's ego. This was me as a kid. I was like, this is stupid. Why are they pretending?
Right.
Like pretending to strum along. Like, what is this? And then I'd watch the bands on TFI Friday, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I can remember watching like Stereophonics back in the day. I can remember watching Seal live, and his band were just killing. Oh my God.
So cool.
Yeah. And like, it was just, and I can remember as a kid thinking it was lame. So this, the reason why I'm saying it is because I think it's lame now. If it doesn't need to happen, it's lame still. This is just a personal thing for me. It just, some people like sushi. I'm not that, I just don't like sushi that much. I've tried a bit of sushi with you, but I just don't like it.
I think you liked it better than you let
I liked it a little bit. But it's okay for us to have different opinions. But I just think it's lame. Yes. And I just want to say, I can remember when it was like Nirvana had released like their first album, and there was this sort of like this whole kind of like thing in the UK. They were like, Nirvana's going to play on Top of the Pops next week, and I was like, oh, yeah. That was my first thing. I was like, oh, I love this album, incredible. And then instantly I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
my favorite band in the universe are going to go on Top of the Pops and mime.
And fake it.
This is just, and then they went on Top of the Pops. And do you know what they did? They refused to mime and basically just smashed all their instruments. Now, let me just, before somebody, keyboard warrior down there is going to go, it's not, you should never smash your instruments. Yeah, I know, dude. But it was the 1990s. We were rocking it in the 90s.
Smashing shit was
I was smoking 20 Marlboro Lights a day in the 90s. Maybe that was early 2000s. But anyway, my point is that to me, as a kid, I was like, so thankful because to me, without saying it, they were saying, "We're not freaking miming. We're not a miming band. We can
Right, we
do
don't do
this."
that.
They
Right.
were doing it for real. So they just smashed it, and it was a great tune or whatever. It was Smells Like Teen Spirit. What a great. Can you remember where I was sitting? I was sitting on my carpet with my dad behind me watching it, and he was probably thinking, "Oh my God, what are they smashing all their instruments for?" I was like, "The 90s,
Check it
Dad."
out. I agree with you for the most part that it's lame, but I do think that it's more nuanced than that.
course
Because
it is.
there are yeah, like there are situations where miming makes it better. I'll give you a couple of those instances, like music videos. I think
Yes.
most of the time nobody expects
all of that,
right?
Yeah, like exactly. Like in any cases where it needs to be mimed, of course, mime it. Yeah.
Yeah, like we did one thing. I mean, we were just talking about this where
Yeah.
we did that video, James Jamerson video, where we do this funny bit in the beginning.
It's the
where like
intro
we're
of the
singing
video.
to each other.
Yeah.
Yes, and so Scott recorded the bass. He did a pass of the bass, and then he did a pass of
Singing
like,
to camera because I
Yes.
couldn't look at the bass. Like, yeah,
Right.
I mean, whatever
like,
it was, plays a Bob
in-
Babbitt line. Never mind. But you know what I mean. I couldn't. I had to
Yes.
look into the camera and sing. So I
Yes.
recorded that and then looked
Yes.
into the camera and mimed.
In that instance, I think the comedy was more important. In that instance, right? Like the content and the comedy was the priority. So the production or the real I played it or not was deprioritized.
Yeah.
You know what? Another video that comes to mind for me that we were talking about, that crazy video of Dirty Loops where Henrik is playing that insane solo and he has multiple arms
Exactly.
coming out of his right. Like he's not actually, now he may have played that live on the video, but there's all these other edits and takes of him doing this crazy stuff where the arms, are everywhere and it's silly.
exactly.
It's comedy. It's meant to be fun, right? As opposed to something like a Scary Pockets live video, which I presume is not mimed, or a Snarky, like
is
the
not mimed.
family
Yeah.
concert thing where everybody's got headphones on, they're playing it. But
Can you imagine if that was mimed?
that would be lame. But I'm so glad you said that. Here's why that would be lame. Because they are showing us they're in a studio, everything is mic'd, right? Like it is meant to communicate we're doing this live. We have a live audience, we're making a live record, we're doing this live. We as viewers are choosing to believe that or not, but typically, right, we're believing that. Whereas in the video with Henrik with all the arms, or like a music video style thing, no one is asked to believe in that moment that the perfect audio is coming from the bass guitar. We're not asked to make that mental jump. And I think that's the separator, but it's a fine line.
Yeah. Here's one. So there's definitely bands that I like watching and stuff like that do, I would say, snarky-esque videos. Mm-hmm. I mean, like it looks live when you watch on YouTube, it's mimed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So
You're saying it looks live, but it is mimed. That's what you're saying? I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody will think
Got
it's
it.
live. Most of
Right.
you guys watching this right now will be like, it's live. It's not, it's mine.
How do you know it's mimed?
So here's my...
But that's the interesting thing, right? Like it's your belief.
Yeah.
But why does it make you upset?
It doesn't. Here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
I think it's lame still because because they could do it live, right? So, and that's just like, some people like sushi, some people don't like it. It's just, I love I like the liveness of something. I prefer, like we were talking about yesterday, like 70% of my albums when I had them all on CD, they were all live albums because that's what I gravitate towards. Here's the interesting thing though, right? I watch and there's not just one band. I mean, there's like a few bands, right? Where you'll watch them and I'm watching them and it's not, they're not saying it's live, but but it's not live. It's like super edited and all of that, right? So you're watching it, and maybe like a big portion of the audience watching this video right now probably think it's live. But as I watch it, here's the interesting thing. I'm getting to my point, right? Is that when I watch it, if you were like in the moment, hey Scott, is this pissing you off right now that this mimed? I'm not. I'm actually. It's
Sure.
more this. Oh my God, this bass sounds incredible. Oh,
Sure.
it's incredible.
Sure.
Right? But when I watch somebody do it on Instagram, let's say Giacomo Turra, for instance, with one of his bands, I watch him do it at like doing the miming thing before I knew he slowed it all down. Anyway,
Yeah.
I watch him do it and like I'm instantly turned off. I'm instantly turned off. And that's interesting because why
So
one?
it's
It
platform
means
specific
it's,
to you.
it's platform specific. The platform makes the difference, I think.
Interesting.
To me,
yes.
but not to other people, because there's people on Instagram miming and they're
Yeah,
playing
well-
all bands and they're miming.
Listen, I want to just make very clear to you, though, that all of those records that you had, those live records that you had, all those vocals were retracked. Just FYI.
No, it was like, for me, it was like,
Oh, yes.
no, for me, it was like more instrumental music. So,
Oh, got it.
I mean,
but the
yeah.
stuff is fixed. So those bands, I mean, I've seen how the sausage is made on that stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Those go back in and stuff gets fixed and stuff gets tuned
Edited and all of
mixed and edited. Yes. But I will say, I know what you're saying about the platform thing. And I think like, Yannick and Chelsea's video, Chelsea Guizdala dove into this thing of like, when you have a platform like Instagram, I thought this was a really good point, that there is this thing of like, okay, there's the bedroom musician, or there's the front-facing camera musician where I'm going to show you how I'm doing something. And it's kind of instructional, or it's like, hey, it's authentic. We're going on this journey together, you and me, viewer, right? You're in my bedroom, or you're in my backyard. And so there's this kind of assumption that like, well, this isn't big spectacle. This isn't the Super Bowl. This is a small creator that's making something vulnerable and kind of off the cuff. And so it's probably real, or they're probably doing it because these are just regular ass people. These aren't superstars, but it has changed.
It changed, isn't it? Yeah, it's changed.
It has changed.
Now you've got sort of like people doing like,
And
people don't just sit in front of their like phone anymore with like some baggies on, like playing their bass like I do. But but like some people are getting together as bands and they're going to coordinate what they wear. Of
course.
Like they're going to discuss what they wear because it's like it's a new medium.
yes.
Isn't it?
And I think the argument that like, oh, you shouldn't do that on social media, like, oh, you shouldn't pay attention to the lighting, or that you shouldn't pay attention, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's a tale as old as time of like, if you want to get attention, you try to make your stuff look and sound great.
Yeah.
That's a tale as old as time. And it's fine to do that on Instagram. I think it is. I do that. I try to, I think about my shot. I think about lighting. I think about my sound, because I want to make a quality product. I don't think that I'm not allowed to do that just because I'm doing it on social media. But if you choose to believe me, and I promise you I'm telling the truth, I can really do it. And I think that most people believe that. But that's the fly in the ointment. Do you believe that the content creator that you admire is actually doing it? And do you care if they are or aren't? Right? The thing that you said.
Let us know, guys, in the comments. Do you care? Does this? Are we just like navel gazing right now and nobody actually freaking cares? I don't know. Like, please let us know down below. It'd be incredible to hear your opinions on it. Hopefully we've not made it. I just want to sort of, I wanted to come on here and sort of like just share my opinion and my confusion of all of the blurred lines that there is, because I don't think that it's, that it's kind of black and white. And hopefully we've done that. And hopefully it wasn't all about Giacomo as well, because I think that the conversation is much wider than that, especially in the miming and the slowing down and the editing side of things. Like, there are so many people. If you're doing that, I'm just word from, not of warning, but I just want to say, I think the pendulum's swinging in the opposite direction, kids.
I know, yeah.
Like, just Just
Totally.
you don't need to edit it that much,
And you guys, also, like, this will eat you alive. So everybody's talking about, all the accolades and the free guitars and the money, and okay, but also, if you're not real, like, if you can't do this thing, it will eat you alive. It would eat me alive. If I were up on Instagram just miming along to shit that I couldn't play, and then I went to NAMM and had to get on a stage, I would be racked with anxiety and insecurity. Forget it. It is so much better to put in the work. And honestly, I don't necessarily know that it's that much harder to put in the work of like playing this instrument than it is to learn all this insane technology and be spending all this time editing and like and then practicing how to mime.
Just freaking learn to slap, dudes.
Yeah. Yes. It will just shortchange you. Like, you won't be able to play with other people that are going, oh, it will always be eating at you. Don't shortchange it. Like, just do the work. And then here's something else. What if you're not the fastest? What if you're not, like, I can't play super fast with a pick, so I'm not going to pretend that I can. And then what happens is you sort of do these cool workarounds. You find other things to specialize in. You find how to make one note or a phrase sound wonderful. Instead of fooling everybody that you're this incredible technician, do your own fucking thing. Right?
Dude. I'm going to leave it with that. Oh, and one last thing. Miming's lame. See you later, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments.
It's mostly lame unless you're doing it for comedy.
Oh, yeah, that one. See you next time. Bye.